Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the NFL. We have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. In the first game, we have the Chicago Bears playing against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota on December 16th, 2024. So currently, the Chicago Bears are 4-9, which is last place in the NFC North, and the Vikings are 11-2, which is second place in the NFC North. And with the Lions losing on Sunday, the Vikings have a chance of moving into first place in the NFC North with a win here, and I do think that the Vikings will win this game. They play much better at home, and on the season overall, they just have been playing much better than the Bears. In this video, I'll give a recap of our parlays from Sunday, as well as a few parlays that I have from this game. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully if you tap in, we can all win. So here are a few parlays from Sunday that I hit and ended up winning. It was a pretty good day overall. I really like my parlays from the Jets and Jaguars games, as you guys can see here. And I also hit a 2 touchdown bet on Jahmyr Gibbs in the Lions game. So overall, I made a few bucks on Sunday, and hopefully we can continue the momentum into this game. Before I get into the parlays, be sure to like, comment, share, as well as subscribe to my channel. Appreciate you guys for watching, and here are the parlays. So in this first set of parlays, I have Aaron Jones to score a touchdown, as well as for him to have over 50 combined rushing and receiving yards, and also 50 rushing yards total in the game. Aaron Jones, he's been playing really well this season and has been a great addition for the Minnesota Vikings, and I really like his matchup against the Chicago Bears, especially against their run defense. So in his last game versus Chicago, he had 22 rush attempts for 106 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And he also had 3 receptions for 23 receiving yards. So I do think that he could pretty easily get over the 50 rushing and receiving yards, as well as has a good chance of getting over 50 rushing yards in this game. On the season, the Bears are 25th overall versus the running back position and are ranked 30th in terms of number of rush yards they give up, 28th in rushing touchdowns, and 23rd in number of 20-yard rushes allowed to the running back position. So I do think that Aaron Jones, especially if he gets a similar number of carries that he did versus the Bears, or that he has been getting lately, will have a good chance of getting over 50 rushing and receiving yards total, as well as just having a good game on the ground overall. Aaron Jones has also scored a touchdown in 3 straight games, 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown versus Arizona. And I do think that being at home on primetime, he has a good chance of scoring a touchdown in this game as well. And he also scored a rushing touchdown versus Chicago in their last game on Thanksgiving. And as I mentioned before, Chicago's rush defense is pretty bad on all categories. So I do think that he has a good chance of scoring a touchdown, whether that's on the ground or through the air. He's also gone over 50 rushing and receiving yards in 2 out of his last 3 games. And I think that with Chicago likely losing in this game, it'll lead to the Vikings having to run the ball more in the second half of the game, which will increase his chances of accumulating yards as well as scoring a touchdown. So at minus 110 and at plus 125, I put 1 unit on each of these parlays. The minus 110 parlay yields a profit of about 90%, and the plus 125 parlay yields a profit of 125%. As always, just have bankroll consciousness and understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets, if you do decide to place it with me. So I also like TJ Hawkinson in this game, and I'll dive more into his stats later on in the video. But in these 2 parlays, both 1 unit parlays for me, I have Aaron Jones have over 75 rushing and receiving yards total, and TJ Hawkinson to score 25 receiving yards, as well as on the parlay on the right side for Jones to have 50 rushing and receiving yards total, and for Hawkinson to go over his receiving yards line of this game at 42 yards. So on the season, the Bears are pretty bad against the tight end as well. They rank 22nd overall versus the tight end position, and are 27th in number of tight end yards to give up per game, 31st in number of 20-yard receptions to the tight end, and T.J. Hawkinson had a great game versus the Bears earlier on in this season. So when they played Chicago, Hawkinson had 7 receptions for 114 yards, and he had a long reception of 34 yards. So I do like his chances of going over 25 yards and also going over his receiving yards total of 42, as long as he gets a lot of targets in this game. And in that game versus Chicago, he had 9 targets, and he has been more involved with the offense since returning from injury. He's gone over his receiving yards total in 2 out of his last 3 games, and As long as he gets more than 3 receptions, I think he has a good chance of getting over 25 yards. And I took him over 42, um, just because I think that, especially down the field, he has a good chance of making a big play. And uh, I think if he has 4 to 5 receptions in this game, he has a pretty good chance of going over 42 yards as well. So at minus 110, that's a 90% return on your investment on that parlay. And then at plus 105, that's a 105% return on your investment. And as always, just have bankroll consciousness and understanding of your finances if you do decide to place these bets with me. So now taking a deeper look at T.J. Hawkinson, I do like him to have over 50 receiving yards and over 5 receptions in this game. And I'm just kind of going off of what happened in their last game versus Chicago. With this game being in Minnesota and indoors, I think that the offenses will flow better and be more efficient. And I do think that as long as Hawkinson is getting the targets, he will come down with the receptions. So I put half a unit on each of these parlays, and I honestly like him and Jordan Addison to have pretty good games. And I'll dive into Jordan Addison a little bit later in this video. But at plus 125 and plus 130, if you invest 1 unit on these parlays, you essentially have the same payout of 125% or 130%. If I had to pick one of these parlays to bet on, I probably would just choose his receiving yards because I think that Sam Darnold doesn't necessarily have a favorite target in this offense, but I think with the matchup being so favorable for T.J. Hawkinson, he has a good chance of going over his receiving yards and doesn't necessarily have to have 5 receptions to do so. And I mentioned that Jordan Addison is another receiver for the Vikings that I like in this game. Just to be candid, Justin Jefferson is my favorite receiver in the NFL, but I do think that his game history versus Chicago kind of shows that they know how to cover him, and it'll leave Jordan Addison open to making big plays. So in these two parlays, I have him for over 4 receptions made in this game, as well as for T.J. Hawkinson to have over 25 receiving yards on the parlay on the left side, and for Aaron Jones to have over 75 rushing and receiving yards in this game. So taking a deeper look at Jordan Addison, he's gone over 4 receptions in his last 3 games, and versus Chicago on Thanksgiving, he had 8 receptions for 162 yards and a long reception of 69 yards, as well as a touchdown. So I do think that he's a big play receiver and has a good chance of getting over 4 receptions in this game, as long as similar to T.J. Hawkinson, the targets are there. And also versus the Bears on Thanksgiving, he had 9 targets and came down with 8 receptions. So that just is like very high efficiency, and I think as long as Sam Darnold is accurate, Jordan Addison will make the catches. So at minus 115 and at plus 125, if you invest 1 unit on either of these parlays, you'll have 115 or 125% return on your investment. And I put half a unit on each of these because I already had a number of bets on T.J. Hawkinson and Aaron Jones already. And I do think that as long as 2 out of the 3 guys, whether that be Addison, Hawkinson, or Aaron Jones, have good games, it'll be a pretty good payout overall. As always, just have bankroll consciousness and understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets, if you do decide to place it with me. And this is the last parlay that I have for this game. I am leaning towards the Vikings winning this game, but I do like them in the first half as well. They are a pretty good first half team, especially at home. And so I have them for essentially to lead the first half by more than 1 point, as well as for Hawkinson and Jordan Addison to go over their receiving yards, and or Hawkinson to go over his receiving yards and Addison to go over his number of receptions at 4, as well as for Aaron Jones to score a touchdown in this game. And at plus 550, I put 1 unit on this parlay for a 550% return on investment, which is a great return on investment, especially if the parlay wins. And I do feel pretty good about the Vikings' chances of having a pretty good offensive game versus the Bears here. This is a pretty good game overall, and I think that the Vikings will show up for it. So those are parlays I have for you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and share for this video, as well as subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for more NBA and NFL videos coming out later this week. Until next time, peace out.